In this video, I'm going to show you how we can use the utility table framework that we introduced last week to help us to analyze the decision of whether to work or not. Now, remember last week we learned that whenever we build utility tables, the first step is to identify all of the alternatives under consideration and to represent each of those alternatives with its own column in our tables. In this case, we're going to look at two possibilities. One is to spend our time working, and the other is to spend our time not working or leisuring. This is what economists traditionally refer to as the work-leisure decision. Now that we've completed step one, we can turn to step two, and that's to identify the marginal utility or additional happiness for each of these options. So, what's the additional happiness from working? Well, generally speaking, the additional happiness that a worker receives from work is the additional income that they receive from that work. So if a person is earning $10 an hour, then their additional happiness would be the $10 of earnings they would receive from working. What about the additional happiness for leisure? Well, leisure doesn't generate new income for you, but it does generate some happiness. After all, people enjoy spending time with friends and family, spending time reading books or going to the movies, spending time relaxing. Leisuring brings happiness. So how do we tell how much happiness it brings? Well, remember, last week we learned that, generally speaking, we can tell how much happiness a person expects to receive from something by how much they are willing to sacrifice for it. So, we can determine how much happiness a person expects to receive from leisuring by how much they are willing to sacrifice for it. Suppose that this person, at this time of day, is willing to sacrifice $8 of income in order to leisure for an hour. Then that would be the value that this person places on that leisure. That's the marginal utility for leisure. Now that we've completed step two, let's turn to step three, identifying the marginal cost for each of these options. Remember, the marginal cost is the amount that we have to sacrifice or must sacrifice in order to choose an option. So if we choose to work, the marginal cost for work will be what we have to sacrifice if we choose to work. Well, if we're working, then we're not leisuring. And if we're not leisuring, then we're not getting the happiness that leisure could have given us. We said earlier that this person at this time of day values that leisure at $8 an hour. So, the marginal cost for working for this person for this time of day would be $8. What about the marginal cost for leisure? Well, if we choose to leisure, then we're not working. And if we're not working, we're not getting the additional happiness that that work could have generated. How much was that additional happiness? Well, for this person, we said that that additional happiness was $10 for that hour of work. Now that we've completed steps 1, 2, and 3, we can turn to the final step, computing the net benefit. If we look at the net benefit for work, we see that we have a marginal utility of $10 an hour, a marginal cost of $8 an hour. That means a net benefit for working of positive $2 an hour. When we look at leisure, we see a marginal utility of $8 an hour, a marginal cost of $10 an hour, giving us a net benefit of negative $2 an hour. Since people tend to choose the option that generates a positive net benefit, we would say that this person would choose to work for this hour. So, why do people choose to go to work? Well, it's because they want to. It's because they believe that the additional happiness from working exceeds the additional cost of working. It's because it gives them a positive net benefit.